Karen, how are you?
Hi. Hello, Marion. Thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this interview in celebration, acknowledgement, recognition of British Black History Month, which we are now in October, and also kind of reminding all of us that British Black history isn't just for 1 month. The relearning, the opportunities we have to learn, to discuss, and celebrate the achievements of peoples from Caribbean and African descent in Britain is something that should go on outside of October. But this is a good platform, a good stepping stone for returning to those conversations or starting them again if we've not had a chance to do so.
Great. Thank you. And so who are you actually? Do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes, I will do. My name is Karen Lipsedge. I'll tell you a bit about my background. So I wear a number of hats. I'm an associate professor in English at Kingston University. But I also have another role, a kind of university-wide role, where I'm working with the Directorate of Student Achievement as the Senior Teaching and Learning Advisor, focusing on equality, diversity and inclusion, and in particular finding strategies for enhancing discussions about race and racial equality. So those are the two roles. As part of that second role, I also run the Kingston University Reading Group that runs a monthly event for staff and students at Kingston University, but we also work with different organisations in the local community. And so in October, we are running with Kingston Libraries 2 reading groups, one of which will focus on, I've got my books here and all my notes, Queenie by Candice, Carty-Williams, and also Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Reni, Eddo-Lodge. And so we're looking forward to members of the local community, the Kingston community, and also staff and students from Kingston University coming and joining us in some of those discussions.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. So yeah, for everyone who are watching this video right now, if you want to participate in the reading groups, I just put the links to our Eventbrite event in the description, and you can book your tickets, and we'll send you a Zoom link on the day before the discussions. And you can also find the books at Kingston Libraries, either on paper, or you can also download the ebooks that are available, I think, on Overdrive, but I'll put everything on the description. So Karen, why did you... Sorry,
I was going to say, should I say a bit about who, because in case sometimes people hear reading groups and then I've said I'm an associate professor in English literature and they may be thinking, oh, that's not a reading group I'm going to like.
Oh, okay, please talk about it.
I should just say, so in case anyone's thinking, oh, that's not something I want to go to, it's open for all. And all you need to do is reserve a place. Places are free. And the way that I run the reading groups is that it's not about me telling you what to think about the books. It is what I hope you will find, a safe and informal space, each reading group session, whether they're face-to-face, which is how we used to run them, but in our new normal times, of course, they're taking place online. They're safe, informal environments in which people have the opportunity to share their ideas and opinions about the books that we're looking at. In particular, have the opportunity to be open to listening to and hearing other people's points of view. There will be disagreements. What I love actually about the reading groups is that I often find out about things about the text that we're reading that I never thought about before. I may not agree with people's opinions about all of them, but it's just about having that opportunity to hear other people's ideas, and to be able to share your own, and to disagree, but to disagree with the spirit and intention of respect and understanding. And I think that those opportunities are really important, especially at the time we're living at the moment.
Okay, well, thank you. That's really great. Yeah, so everyone, it's open to really everyone. And if you read the book, or if you started the book, or if you have anything that you want to share about the book, yeah, just book a ticket, and we'll be really happy to see you there. Can you let me know a little bit why you chose those two specific books?
Yeah, what I've been really interested in is, and listeners and viewers may have heard about this, is both Candice Carty-Williams novel and Reni Eddo-Lodge's book. They've both received a lot of attention recently, and in particular following the Black Lives Matter protests in May, following the brutal killing of George Floyd. And what they've really allowed people is an opportunity to come into contact with writers from BAME, so Black and Asian minority ethnic groups that they may never have encountered before, and to engage in topics about race and racial equity and white privilege and class and gender. And so I thought it was really useful, while these novels were receiving so much attention, to give people an opportunity to read them for themselves and begin to form their own opinions. I think what we started to see is a lot of discussion about, what do I do to find out more about the lives of BAME communities, or to find out what I can do to act as a white ally, for instance. And I think what both of these books demonstrate in very different ways is that it's actually about acknowledging our individual responsibility to do that work, to do the work of finding out more. And so hopefully that's what people will have an opportunity to do in the reading groups. I haven't answered your question, so I'm going to answer your question now. Why did I choose each of these books? So partly for that, but partly because they're fantastic books. Queenie is a novel. It's a novel about the eponymous heroine, Queenie, who's 25-year-old Jamaican British. And in essence, it's a love story. And because of that, people have said that it's very similar to Bridget Jones's Diary.
Okay.
Interesting idea. I'm going to park that and say, yes, there are similarities in terms of a woman finding what she thinks is her ideal man. But Queenie is very different from Bridget Jones's Diary, because it takes that perspective of a woman of Jamaican British heritage who is struggling with straddling two cultures, and feeling and being told, I don't know if you agree, Marion, with the idea that she just doesn't fit, and being forced to constantly question who she is and also her value. And I think that, for me, that really resonated with me, that that constant need to feel that you have to ask questions that all women, and I took a quote that really epitomizes this idea of constantly asking questions. And at one point, Queenie asks herself, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who do you want to be? Now, women often ask themselves those questions, but I think for women from BAME communities, those questions become more frequent because people are telling them that they're one thing and not another.
Yeah.
Or they should be like this because they look like that. And Queenie's really struggling with that because all she wants, like most of us want, is someone who loves her and who sees her. And then this is a quote from Bridget Jones's diary, exactly, loves her for who she is, exactly as she is. That's a paraphrase rather than a direct quote. And I think that's really important. And it really highlights the microaggressions that people from BAME communities experience as part of their everyday lived reality. And the focus here is in Queenie is very much on the body and ways of looking, and how the way you look means that you are presumed to be a particular type of person. And I think that now this idea of having an individual and collective responsibility to see each other as we are, rather than drawing on assumptions of how people should be, is really important, and the novel really speaks to that. And I think what's also one of the reasons that I chose it is because you could say, unlike, I mean, they're very different books, but unlike Eddo-Lodge's book, what's at the heart of this and what's really draws the reader in, I think, and I'd be interested to hear what people who join the reading group think. At the heart of it is the humour and the pathos. And the way in which Candice Carty-Wright doesn't hit you on the head with a sledgehammer. She draws you in so that you, by drawing relatable characters that are relatable to all of us, because of their different characteristics. And I think that makes it much easier for readers to empathise with Queenie and her experiences, but also encourages them, perhaps unconsciously, to look into themselves and think about, how does this relate to my experiences? What might I be doing to make someone else feel like that they don't feel valued? And as a result of the novel, you come away thinking, I've got some tools to live as I am, a woman from dual heritage, in a society where I constantly feel undervalued. But also, if you're not from that heritage, or you're from a different heritage, think about different experiences. The novel enables you to walk in the shoes of people who may not look like you. It generates a sense of empathy, and I think that's really important. That's a key, I think, role of novels, especially if we allow people to read, or encourage people to read, a diverse range of novels. Novels should really act as tools, or are tools, for bringing people together and potentially for changing lives and ways of thinking. And I think Queenie definitely does that.
That's really. I actually haven't started to read it yet, but I'm really pumped now.
You've got time, because should we say, so Queenie, we are reading together on Wednesday, the 28th of October. So you've got loads of time. 5 to 6:30, and I'd be really interested, if you do listen to this interview, to think about whether you disagree with what I've been saying in my summary, whether you agree, your experiences of reading Queenie, and maybe how they map onto, or don't, your own personal experiences. That's what's great about reading groups. Literature provides a platform or a stepping stone for each of the participants to think about their own experiences. and to gain an insight into them and into the world of others. So that is Queenie.
Yeah.
So go out and get that. The second one, and I've done this out of sync, haven't I? Because we're reading Reni Eddo-Lodge's Why I'm No Longer Talking About White People to White People About Race. We're reading that before we're reading Queenie.
This one will be on Friday, the 16th of October at 5 p.m. as well.
Yes, 5 to 6:30.
Yeah.
So what is this about? Similar themes as Queenie, but presented in a very different way. So it was published in 2017, but it comes out of a blog post, or a post that Reni Eddo-Lodge posted on her blog in 2014. And what she shared in that post is about her frustration with the way in which discussions about race and racism in Britain were often led by those who weren't affected by race and racism.
I see what you mean.
And as a result, she got a deluge of responses about people who really wanted to talk about their own experiences about race and racism in Britain. And so ironically, although the post started as a claim that I'm no longer going to talk to white people about race, what she actually ended up doing, ironically, is to write a whole book about race and racism, and about those communities, BAME communities, who are eradicated from history. She talks about her own learning experiences. She talks about the origins of Black History Month. She talks about white power, white privilege, about whitewashed feminism, and about class. And so what you get is, you go from chapter to chapter, you're taken through this wealth of knowledge, and with each chapter you come away feeling both that you've learned something, and I would say anyone, however knowledgeable they are about Black British history, about white privilege, about feminism, about class, I would say that anyone reading this book will come away feeling, to some lesser or greater degree, illuminated by what they have read, even if it's just by the virtue of the fact that with her candor and her searing honesty, Reni Eddo-Lodge has exposed the assumptions, so again very similar to Queenie, that many of us have, and the biases that we all have, consciously or unconsciously, about what it means to be Black British today. And it's a very, very powerful book. And I think it's a really useful reminder of the work that we all need to do to address systemic racism in Britain, and to fight for social justice, and to enable us to refine that glue that should hold us all together as a British community. And I think we've begun to do that work, but there is so much more to do.
Yeah.
And I said I was going to give you a quote. I gave you one from Queenie, so I'm going to do, if I may, Marion, one from Reni Eddo-Lodge's book, which is around the ideology about what it means to be a racist. And she says this: we tell ourselves that good people can't be racist. We seem to think that true racism only exists in the heart of evil people. We tell ourselves that racism is about moral values, when instead it's about survival strategy of systemic power. And I think that sums up what's at the heart of this book, and that idea that we need to rethink how we think about race and racism in Britain. It's not something that's over there in America. It's in our society today.
Yeah, definitely.
And we need to think about what we need to do individually and collectively to address it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What I really like with the two books that you have chosen is that they're very different books. We have a fiction and a non-fiction, and I feel like that's going to give different tools and different ways of approaching the problem, and really understand what it is all about. So yeah, I think that's a solid selection.
Yeah, and I think hopefully what it will also be by choosing them is that it gives people access to the diversity of books out there that are written by people from BAME communities that we don't often talk about, that we don't often read. And it's only by reading a range of different books that we do something that Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie warns us that we need to do, which is to avoid falling into the trap of a single story, of only hearing one story,
one point
about peoples, about peoples and about places. And she indicates that if we do that, in her TED Talk of 2009, The Danger of a Single Story, and you can watch it on YouTube, it's fantastic. What she says is that if we only hear one story, the danger is that we risk a critical misunderstanding of peoples and places. And so I hope what we're going to do in our reading groups, and I know other people will do that in the events that they're running as part of British Black History Month, is to celebrate that diversity of literatures in English. And I think that's really important to remember and reflect on, that there isn't just one way of seeing peoples and places. And we need to ensure it's not so much about giving voice to these authors, because they have a voice, but it's about listening and hearing those voices and giving them a platform.
Yeah, I think that's really the role of libraries as well, to amplify certain voices and really, as you say, give them a platform and sharing diverse point of views. So yeah, hopefully we'll.
Yeah, and act as a guide. I think that's to act as a guide that demonstrates that literature is accessible to everyone. I mean, that's why I used to love, and I'm sure this will speak to a lot of people's experiences, used to love going to book libraries as a child and just sitting on the floor and going from book to book to book and just being surrounded with all these opportunities through each book to find out about other people that either looked like me or didn't look like me, while still to kind of travel the world, while still sitting in the library in Blackheath where I grew up. And I think that's a magical opportunity that libraries like the Kingston Libraries are offering, and that they're now doing that online to facilitate social distancing and to help to keep us all safe. So I think that's great.
Great. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, we hope that you will read the books and that you will join us for the reading groups on the 16th and
and the 28th.
Thank you.
And to remind you, on the 16th of October, 5 to 6:30, we're going to be talking about why I'm no longer talking to white people about race, by Reni Eddo-Lodge, and you can get a hard copy or a virtual copy from Kingston Libraries, and Marion is going to tell you how to do that, or post information how to do that on their website. And of course you can buy
your own copy as well
yourself if you so wish to do so. And then on the 28th of October, same time, 5 to 6:30, we're going to be reading Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. If any of you are thinking about what preparation do I need to do, do I need to answer any questions, all you need to think about before you come to each of the reading groups, and I hope you do join me, is that you choose one thing. And I say that very vaguely because what that one thing is completely up to you. So it could be a character, or it could be a theme, it could be a word that's repeated, it could be a passage. So I read some quotes, you might have a quote. It could be an idea or the use of language throughout the text. One thing that you think is really important to Queenie, and why I'm no longer talking to white people about race. And we'll use that, each of our one things, as a way of starting off the session, so that everyone feels that they have an opportunity to contribute something. But it's a really good way to get to know what people think about the book. So that's all the preparation you need to do. If you don't have time to do that, you know what, it's not a biggie, because you're still very welcome. And even if you haven't finished either of the books when you join us, that isn't a problem either, because you're still welcome. And after the session, you may be galvanized, encouraged to read the book even quicker, so that you can come to the end and discover more about it, if you haven't been able to read it all.
So something that we should precise as well, maybe, that you don't have to come to both the reading group. You can choose to come to just one of the books. So yeah, we will be really happy to see you in both, obviously, but you can do as you wish. And it'll be
so really flexible, really open. The main point is that you come and you get something out of the reading group, and that you enjoy the time we're going to spend together reading these books and talking about them.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for joining me tonight.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for asking me, Marion. It's a fantastic opportunity to celebrate literature, to remind us all about the purpose of British Black History Month, and to let people know a bit more about what we're going to be doing in the 2 reading groups we're running as part of our joint efforts, Kingston University and Kingston Libraries.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and I'll see you for new adventures on the next reading group then.
Bye. Bye. Thanks.